and welcome to another edition of Value My Vote, one-on-one with the candidates. And we're here with Mr. Jermaine Jones, candidate for City Council in the 12th District. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm just right. Thank you for giving us this time to sit down one-on-one with the voters who will be watching this. Just off record, we were saying you were a graduate of Syracuse University?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. And lifelong resident of Baltimore?
Yes, well, I have roots, family always lived in Baltimore, so I've been basically raised in the city.
And how old are you?
26.
26. So 26 years old, what made you decide this year to run for the 12th District Council seat?
Because for the last about 2 years, I've been a community organizer. I've been deep in the community, working with residents who live in the city, just one of the biggest focus on jobs, but also going to community meetings and talking to community residents. You see how many different issues, people that are going on and how badly people want change, and instead of waiting for things to happen, when you see an opportunity, to step up to the plate and be a leader and kind of lead by example, instead of waiting for someone to lead the path, you kind of take it. So I've seen this as an opportunity, where I can have a lot of ideas that I can kind of put forth and kind of actually help move my city, and especially my district, in a progressive direction. What
are some of those ideas? What is your platform for the 12th District, and what are you trying to tackle as a councilman?
One of the big things is jobs. A lot of people need job opportunities. One thing I'm tired of hearing is people in the city don't want to work. Every day I talk to hundreds of people who are looking for a job, dying for an opportunity, dying for a door to be open. So one thing I want to do is create more jobs. Just make sure that we utilize every resource we have to put a Baltimore City resident to work, instead of giving them to people who live in other counties, other directions. We have to put our residents here in the city first. So that's one thing I want to do. But I also want to just work on creating communities again. Giving resources back in the communities, getting rid of some of these abandoned houses, and getting people to feel ownership within their community.
47,000 plus abandoned houses in the city of Baltimore. What would you do as a councilman to tackle that problem?
The first things we can do, we can create legislation that's more friendly to getting rid of some of these abandoned homes. Also aid programs for a lot of construction companies and a lot of small businesses that actually want to rehab a lot of these houses. That's a business. I know a lot of people do that as a business. One thing we focused on here in my community is people investing in fixing up the abandoned houses and selling them and having homeowners come in, which creates tax bases, which creates more money for the city to do more. So one thing I want to do is just the same exact thing I've been doing right here where I live at, on the 1500 block of Bond Street. Is we have a lot of ideas and kind of implement the same system that we did here to get rid of the abandoned houses on this block, but for the rest of the district and throughout the rest of the city.
Usually 18 to 30-year-olds, especially African-American descent, don't come out to vote. What will you do to try to reverse that apathy here in the city of Baltimore, especially in the 12th District?
Understanding what their needs are, first understanding where they come from, but not only listening, but also educating. A lot of times people don't understand how influential politics is in their everyday life, and they feel disconnected from it. And unfortunately, they even feel disenfranchised from it. But just sitting down, educating people on how the system can work for you. Because a lot of people feel as though the system is working against them, so they stay away from it, But and just sitting down and educating young people and being a young person as well, it's a little there. Sometimes I have a better listening. They listen to me a lot easier, a little more open to listen exactly what I have to say. And just like I said, when I've been community organizing, I run into a lot of people that say, well, politics, and I ask them to register to vote. It's not really with them. But after you break it down to them and let them know how important it is and how it impacts your daily life and how you finding a job can actually relate to whether or not you vote, how that's all connected, they kind of see the point and they see the power and look forward to voting.
Speaking of educating people, education is a big issue here in the city of Baltimore. What would be your focus? I mean, 15% of the total budget goes to education, not very much, where other jurisdictions in the state, 40 or 50% actually go there. What would you do to kind of reverse that trend of Baltimore's education for our children And are you supportive of an elected school board or an appointed school board?
More so, I would support more so the elected school board. That way the people have a voice in who's being appointed these positions. But as far as creating resources, I feel as though we need a lot more resources dedicated toward the public school, or toward the school system. You know, one thing I kind of notice is people already in a category that's so lowly funded, trying to take resources away from it. And one thing we have to do is shine light to how we need more resources. You know, I think a lot of times it gets swept under the rug. How poorly some of the books are, how many resources the school doesn't have. You know, and once we show the need for it, maybe in that the attention there, maybe there'd be more of a support to actually fund it. But I absolutely do agree that we need a lot more funding going toward the school, because the children, without that, you know, I mean, they're kind of left going down a dark road.
This district was represented for about 14 years by Councilman Jack Young, who's now the council president. Carl Stokes took his place last year. He's vacating it to run for mayor. But there's going to be a lot of candidates such as yourself running. Why should the voters vote for Jermaine Jones over all the rest?
Because I have deep roots in this district. I care deeply about my district. I want to see this district grow, move in the right direction. I also done work here in the district as far as making it better, as far as leading by example. So, I mean, that's a couple of reasons why they kind of should vote for me.
How can they get in contact with you or find out more about your campaign?
First, by being home, because I'm determined. I'm knocking on every door in this district. That's one thing I want to do, and talk to every voter here in this district. Also, my website will be up within the next week. It's jonesforbaltimore.com. You can also email me at info@jonesforbaltimore.com. And also one thing, and just call me. You know, my phone number is 410-294-2942. For anybody who wants to actually give me a call and actually let me know what their concerns are.
Give that number one more time.
410-294-2942. Because one thing I do know is everybody don't have access to the internet. Everyone don't have resources. So for people to give email addresses and websites to get in contact with, but it's not going to work. You know, when almost majority of the people don't have access to the web. So I feel as though one thing I do want to do is give out my phone number, my personal number, to any constituent I talk to, and on every piece of literature I put out. That way I can actually know the needs of the people and get connected with them. Because how can I represent someone I don't speak to?
Absolutely. Jermaine Jones, thank you for your time, for your candidacy, and I wish you well.
Oh, thank you.
All right. And we'll be back with more of Value My